Howdy-ho, Andrew here. Welcome to the Onion Buns and welcome to another episode of Let's Talk. So I'm filming this on Thursday, November 27th, but it's not going to air until a week from now. The big news today is the memorandum of political bullshit signed by Mark Carney and Premier Danielle Smith about pipelines. But let's not kid ourselves, people. This is all political theater on both parts. I mean, Danielle Smith, to her credit, is trying so hard to work with this corrupt, pathological liar, Mark Carney. But at a certain point, she just needs to admit you can't take anything he says. And so he signed this memorandum of intent. It's meaningless, people. It's absolutely meaningless. And I'll munch on the hat. I won't eat it, but I'll munch on the hat if anything comes of this productive. Because the trick with Mark Carney is you don't listen to what he says because he lies. He is a pathological liar. He honestly, at this point in time, I don't think he can even help himself. It's like David from Moose and Loose says, he has a duper's delight where you see that slimy grin appear every time he tells you a lie. And he knows he's lying, but he can't help himself. It's duper's delight. And he gets that grin. And he's been grinning all day today because he thinks he pulled a fast one on Premier Danielle Smith in Alberta. And yeah, nobody's buying it. Nobody's buying it. The media's playing it up and they're, oh, this is so great. No, because there's one truth to this. Mark Carney has the power to approve a pipeline from Alberta to the coast. Mark Carney has the constitutional power to lift the tanker ban. He does not need the weasel David Eby. He does not need the native tribes' approval. He simply doesn't need it. He is giving them their say to block this so that he can go, well, I tried, but they won't work with us. It's not me. Don't be mad at me. Because he plans on calling an election in the spring, and he thinks doing this is going to fool people into voting for him. Now, I have no doubt that this is going to fool stupid people. Anyone that believes this is an idiot, point blank. But they already vote for Carney, so that's not gained votes for him. The votes he thinks he's gaining, he's not gaining. Nobody is voting for him on this because nobody believes him, literally. Now, I haven't read the article, but I really hope this is just an intent and Danielle Smith has not agreed to anything until we see shovels in the ground and the tanker ban lifted. Like, we need to see the action from Carney first before we undertake anything he wants. And if she agreed to doing what he wants before that, well, then she has literally lost my vote in the next provincial election. Well, in the next leadership election. I will sign up for the UCP, which I'm not a member of. I'm not a member of the Conservatives. I'm not a member of the UCP party. But if she signed any agreement to Carney giving him something before he actually delivers on his promises, she's lost my vote in the provincial election. And I will pay the $10 or $20 to join the UCP party and vote for whoever's running against her. It's that simple. Because you can't take anything Mark Carney says as legitimate. He is a pathological liar, and you can see he's lying here. So that's what I have to say about it. It's a big mound of nothing. Absolute nothing. But don't take my word for it. Let's listen to Mark Nixon and see what he has to say on this topic. And I'll jump in as per normal.
Today is a great day. There's some great news. Pipeline. Is there going to be a pipeline or is there not going to be a pipeline? What are we talking about pipelines? Alberta and Canada have officially entered in an energy agreement, which will give us cookie crumbs. Yeah, just a couple crumbs today. I know. I wanted a full jar of cookies, but instead we get to taste a couple cookie crumbs.
And that's exactly what I was saying, is it's cookie crumbs. Carney, Mr. Burns right here, is making promises. But we've seen Mark Carney lie constantly. He just lied to Elizabeth May. If he goes ahead with this deal, then that means he's lied to Elizabeth May, who voted in favor of his disastrous budget with the promise that the tanker ban would never be adjusted or lifted, and that he would hold fast to the Paris, I don't want to say climate because that's such a load of crap, the Paris Accord, which is just environmental special interest bullshit. But he promised that to her. So if he carries through on his promise to Danielle Smith, then he's lied to Elizabeth May. But if he holds true to Elizabeth May, then he's lied to Danielle Smith. This is what Mark Carney does, is he lies. I don't understand why people can't figure this out.
I don't know about you, but I actually think it's worse to get that taste in my mouth and then take away the cookie jar. Or is this the plan all along? Is Danielle Smith offering cookie crumbs so that we get a taste? And once we want the full thing, that's when Canada wakes up and gets rid of this globalist banker.
1,000%. That's what we need. We need Canada to wake up and get rid of this piece of crap right here. We got to get rid of him. And by rid, I want to be clear, vote him out of office. And then when Pierre Poilievre wins the election, hopefully with a majority, we can instruct the RCMP to actually do unrestricted criminal investigations into Justin Trudeau and Mark Carney and the rest of the Liberal Party, because for the last 11 years, it's been 11 years now, we've been held hostage by a criminal cartel.
This might have been Mark Carney's biggest mistake in his political career. I know I said that yesterday, but today, what you offer us the taste of the cookie crumb. Oh yeah, we're going for the whole thing. And he's paved the way for us to get the entire thing. In today's report, we're going to go over this massive announcement. I'm going to go over the details on what it looks like. We got some breaking news from his cabinet. Oh, I can't wait to share this one with you. And I got David Eby's reaction to this massive announcement.
David the Weasel Eby is not happy. Even though he's been handed a veto, a full veto, which he constitutionally does not have by this piece of crap, he's still not happy. I mean, this pipeline is never going to happen because David Eby has a full veto. So Eby, of course, is going to veto it. He said he's going to veto it. So I don't understand why Eby's upset, other than he was not invited to the panel or the discussion because he's a weasel. You don't invite weasels to discussions.
Let's get into this report. I don't know where to start. I'm way too excited, but we should probably start with this. Dreaming about this day every day of my life. I wake up and I just said, hopefully there's a day where this guy is resigned or in prison. One or the other, just gone. This guy has been blocking our prosperity for forever.
For 11 years. And before the 11 years, he was a zealoted climate activist that's been, like this picture, is him being arrested as a climate activist. He hasn't been arrested, though. If we get Poilievre in office, this is one of the guys that will get arrested once the RCMP are no longer under the thumb of the Liberal Party. Once the Liberal Party no longer controls the RCMP, this is one of the first people that will be arrested.
He's gone! He has officially resigned, and just so everybody knows, this is how great this announcement is. If he is officially resigning because of Mark Carney's announcement, we're on the right track, Canada. Oh, yeah. We're going to start off with Danielle Smith's announcement.
Today is a great day for the people of Alberta and for all of Canada. The last 10 years have been an extremely difficult time for hundreds of thousands of Albertans and their families that directly or indirectly rely on and make their living from a strong and vibrant and growing Alberta oil and gas sector. These were dark times, but in those difficult circumstances, Albertans came together, as we always do, to raise our voices and use our ingenuity to find a way to overcome the challenge. We fought and won in the courts of law. We fought and won in the court of public opinion. And we fought because we had to, because that's what Albertans do. This agreement means the end of the punitive oil and gas emissions cap so that our great energy producers can grow and thrive again. This agreement means the immediate suspension of the federal net zero power regulations in Alberta, which had placed our electrical grid at a very serious risk of failure and limited any hope of substantial investment in AI data centers and applications development. This agreement includes a clear path to the construction of an over 1 million barrel per day Indigenous co-owned bitumen pipeline to Asian markets. And this agreement also means that Alberta will be a world leader in the development and implementation of emissions reduction infrastructure, particularly in carbon capture, utilization, and storage. This agreement with the government is just the first step in this journey. There is much more hard work to be done. Trust must be built and earned in the partnership as we move through the next steps of this process. First of all,
this is the second guy that will be charged and sent to prison. This grinning buffoon. I ask the people out there, have you ever seen a more punchable face than Hodgson right here? Like, he's even worse than Carney. Like, I look at these two together, and Carney's a pathological liar. This guy, I just want to punch in the nose. He's like Bozo the Clown. You know, there used to be that inflatable clown with the big red nose that would flop like this. And that's my opinion of him.
One of the things I wanted was no export taxes or restrictions on Alberta oil and gas. Well, we got that. A complete redo of C69. Well, there's going to be a rewrite of that bill. Emissions cap, gone. Carbon pricing stays provincial. We've got that. The clean electricity regulation scrap. We got that. Tanker ban carve out. We got that. The censorship of energy. We got that. That's 7 out of 9. That's not so bad. Canada can never reach its true potential as a global energy superpower without a strong and thriving Alberta energy sector at the center of that effort. And today's agreement is the first step in accomplishing all of these critical objectives and unleashing the power and promise of Alberta's energy sector in a way never seen before in this country. This is Alberta's moment of opportunity. Our opportunity to show the nation, as well as the entire world, that resource development and emissions reduction can not only coexist, but can actually complement one another for the benefit of billions of people around the world. And although I am not blind to the fact that the people of Alberta have had the rug pulled out from underneath them too many times to count over the past 10 years, I also know that a new relationship and a new beginning needs a starting point grounded in good faith. And today, I hope, is that new starting point.
All right. It's not all good news, but it's a start, as she mentioned. And I have to say, I mean, thank goodness we have a leader like Danielle Smith, which is able to work with anybody. And that's the key. She's able to work with the farthest left-wing people and bring them to the center, which is amazing to see. It's like, you know what? I can't believe that Mark Carney is actually considering removing the tanker ban that's been in place for 50 years. And that's probably why Stephen Guilbeault is gone. So this is a big win for Canada. But remember what I said about the cookie crumbs? Because I believe Danielle Smith has just provided us with the cookie crumbs, showing us the way that we could actually do the environmental thing and prosperity at the exact same time.
So I want to jump in here because what Mark just said, you know, there is this concept throughout Eastern Canada. I lived for 20 years in Barrie, Ontario, and I was around some of the most hate-filled, disgusting, toxic, uninformed people. Well, it's kind of like the city I live in now here in Alberta, Edmonton. Left-wing people. They have no clue what they're talking about. So let's set the record straight here. Alberta has never been against clean energy or reducing carbon. It's never. Never been against that. As a wee little child in grade school, this would have been in the 70s, we talked openly about cleaning up pollution and, just everything along the environmental lines. This is what Alberta has always been. So this concept out there that Alberta is, well, first off, that Alberta oil is dirty it is so ignorant and it is so untrue. And I am just so freaking tired of hearing it from people that don't know their asses from a hole in the ground. Alberta has the cleanest oil in the world, bar none, already. Before anything, Mark Carney, Justin Trudeau, Stephen Gilbert, Elizabeth, I fall down nightly May, David, I'm a weasel Ebby. Before any of them ever even said a word, Alberta had the cleanest oil, lowest carbon oil in the world. That's just fact. If you're not completely stupid, you can easily look it up. It's easy to find out. So we've never been against protecting the environment. One of the reasons why Canada has such a low carbon footprint is because of the forests in Alberta, Manitoba, and Northern Ontario. Those three provinces make up, and well, BC Interior has it, but then they offset it with Vancouver and Victoria, which are those two cities are a fucking environmental train wreck. Yet you never hear about that from Ebby. Well, it's like Toronto is an environmental train wreck. Montreal pumps raw sewage into the St. Lawrence, for Christ's sakes. It just kills off the fish and wildlife of that area, slaughters them with pollution. And you never hear about their record, do you? Because the truth is the Green Party, the Liberals, the NDP, they don't give a shit about the environment. To them, it's just a political ideology to use to try to get power. That's all it is. It's like when I lived in Ontario, I have never seen a premier more anti-animal. And if you follow my channel, I'm like that close to being an animal, pro-rights animal activist. And I've never seen a premier more anti-animal than Kathleen Wynne. Liberal, beloved Trudeau friend, Kathleen Wynne. When the Newmarket bear wandered into Newmarket, it didn't attack anyone. It didn't chase anyone. It got lost. It went into Newmarket. It got lost. It went into a person's yard. It climbed a tree and it stayed there. It didn't threaten, harm, intimidate anyone. All they had to do was take a tranquilizer gun, shoot the bear, relocate it into the forests up north, and all would be good. Kathleen Wynne? Nope. Shoot it. Kill it. It went into a city. Kill it. It's a security word. Who does that? Liberals, NDPs, Greens. When the ostriches were when they were going to court to try to save the 300 healthy ostriches, Trump was asked a question. He was asked about it and he said, well, that's in Canada, but if we could bring them into the States and save them, we would. And that's all he said. Again, you can look this up. That's all he said. He was very un-Trump-like. He didn't make any stupid comments. He didn't, do his braggadocious stuff. He just said, unfortunately, there's laws that stop us from transporting them into the United States at this point. So, but if we could save them, we would. So Elizabeth May of the Green Party, the environmentalist party, came out the next day and said, well, I really don't care about the ostriches because Trump supports them. So therefore, I think they should all die. There's your environmentalist party in Canada. They don't give a shit about the environment. They don't give a shit about animals. They only care about power.
And that's going to open up a bunch of eyeballs. And the second that Mark Carney gets in the way, that's when Canadians push him out of the way and we vote for a conservative-led government, which is going to remove all the red tape and do it expeditiously. Because like I said, this announcement is going to be years to get this whole thing rolled out. We don't have years. We need to do it right away.
So I think Mark's wrong here on this one, because I don't think Eastern Canada, Toronto, Montreal, the GTA, Quebec, the Laurentian seniors out in Atlantic Canada, I don't think they're going to vote for Poilievre. I hope they do. I pray the kids come out and vote for Poilievre and just make those people meaningless. But my suspicion what's going to happen is Mark is going to get in the way, as he said, and that is going to be the final straw for Alberta and Saskatchewan, and they will separate. That is what my suspicion is. The next couple months are going to be very interesting because it's widely known Mark Carney wants an election in the spring because he desperately wants a majority. And trust me, we can never give this guy a majority. All you have to do is look at the UK. We do not want to become the UK. So if he continues, you're seeing fallout already from his own cabinet for signing this memorandum of intent. So this is going to upset some of those voters, and they're going to become soft voters for Carney. Now they may shift to the NDP, but they're not going to be voting for the Liberals. And he wants his majority. So he's going to have to put up the roadblocks to say, see, I strung him along, but don't worry, people. Or he continues with, Ebby has a veto. And then when Ebby vetoes it, we say, screw it, and we're done. What comes in the spring is not only Mark Carney wanting an election, Alberta has a referendum. And if we don't see a lot of these roadblocks lifted by the time of that referendum, you could see Alberta leaving. You really could. You know, I keep saying this, and I'm going to say it again. I don't have new numbers for this. But months ago, we're talking like 5 months ago now, Abacus, the most reliable pollster in Canada, bar none, they did a question on separatism. And it was 47-53 in Alberta. 47 was the yes side, 53 was the no side. So the 53 was still winning to stop separating. But that was 5 months ago. And what's happened in the last 5 months is like hit after hit after hit after hit after hit by Carney. So I don't know what the number is, but you know, I really wouldn't be surprised if it's like 55-45 for the yes separate side now. I really wouldn't. So if he does not hold up to his intent here, because basically no matter what word salad he uses, he's basically guaranteed this pipeline. So if we do not see him 100% follow through on his intent, and he uses little games to block it, like giving Ebby the veto, I see that 50% growing to 65-70%. And sayonara, Canada. Alberta separates, Saskatchewan will separate. They're not very far behind us. Once Alberta and Saskatchewan are gone, Quebec, well, they're not going to stick around when they're no longer getting their $20 billion, which comes from Alberta. You know, they're already whining, oh, this pipeline's going to take away money from Quebec. You know, like $20 billion a year from Alberta isn't enough for them. So once they're cut off, they're going to separate. Well, now you've lost 3 provinces. BC is not far behind Alberta. The only thing stopping them from having a referendum is Ebby. But from all reports, Ebby is on the way out too. His popularity and his approval is cratering. You know, if the Conservatives in BC could get their act together and get rid of John Rostad, they wouldn't be far behind either. So Carney his lies are causing a real crevice in Canada. And if he doesn't start behaving like a trustworthy, responsible adult and not a slimy, pathological liar weasel, he is going to destroy this country. And I think that's more likely than all of Canada getting together and going, Poilievre. Now, don't get me wrong. I've said from day one, I wish Poilievre would get into office with a majority and we can finally get Canada working. It's going to take years. I'll be long dead and gone before the harm done by Trudeau and Carney is undone. But if we get the right leader in, at least we can start that. I'm just not convinced that the Eastern Canada is going to allow that to happen, which makes me feel Alberta is finally going to say we've had enough. We'll see, I guess, in probably about 4 months.
It sets the stage for progress. Way to go, Danielle Smith. Unfortunately, there's no such thing as a free lunch, and a lot of the risk falls on Alberta with Mark Carney's plan. He's looking to front load a bunch of carbon taxes, increasing it 6 times over. And if there's no pipeline that actually gets delivered, this is catastrophic. Collecting taxes from Alberta with this carbon levy, you better deliver a pipeline.
But at its core is tightening the tier system, which is the industrial carbon price system here in Alberta, to a level of at least $130 with a pass price from there. What does that mean? It means more than a 6 times increase in the price, industrial price of carbon.
So a 6-time increase in industrial carbon tax means your groceries, your clothing costs, everything. The industrial carbon tax affects everything. Contrary to what this pathological liar and his bobbing head little sheep all tell you. They're lying. The industrial carbon tax affects everything. Everything from agriculture to shipping to gas at the pumps, everything. And I really do believe the 6 times carbon tax might be the killer I was talking about. I'm confused by this, and I'm going to have to look into this more, because in Danielle Smith's messaging, she said carbon tax is provincial. So if we control the carbon tax, then there's no reason for us to do a 6th time until he holds true to his word. And if he doesn't hold true to his word, which he's not going to, like, you can quote me, he's not going to hold true to his word. We've seen this dance with Carney before. So I don't understand, like, how can we be in charge of the carbon tax, but it's still going to go up 6 times? It makes no sense to me. I'm going to have to look more into it.
From its effective level, which is much lower than the headline level, the effective level, to the level that's committed in the agreement. That's the first.
Like I said, the cookie crumbs, because the minute that we start feeling there is no pipeline happening, that's when I believe the majority of Canadians will wake up and say the problem is him. Let's see the signing of this thing.
Is that how he does it?
He's mocking Trump. Even at the signing, he's mocking Trump. He is a petulant little child. He can't help himself. And
Thumbs up.
I don't know what he was doing there. He's going like, look at this thing. Is that what Donald Trump does? I'm just saying, we're doing a Trump. Here's the cheat sheet. So there is a win here. No oil and gas production cap, no net zero power regulations, 1 more million barrels per day pipeline to Asian markets. That's on the North Coast. 400,000 barrels per day TMX expansion. That's a no-brainer. They should already do it. That means there'll be a tanker every single day coming to fill up at the port in the Lower Mainland. That means that will be at capacity. They have to use the North Coast, and that's why there's the Deepwater Port Access oil tanker. Let's get David Eby's reaction.
And Keith, do you have a follow-up?
Yes. So, as you say, there's no proponent, there's no plan, there's no route, really nothing there. Today, the Prime Minister said if there's no proponent, there's no pipeline, period, full stop. Do you interpret that to mean that there's not going to be any federal subsidy, as we saw with the TMX pipeline, and therefore the odds of this pipeline being built are rather remote?
I think this proposal has some major challenges. First of all, we already have a publicly owned pipeline. It is not at capacity.
you see, he's lying. It is at 89% capacity. It can't really be upgraded anymore. Well, the pipeline can be upgraded, but you can't put much more oil in that pipeline. It could be at 99.9999999%, and this weasel would be saying, it's not a capacity. I am so freaking tired of these liars. Like, if Poilievre ever gets into office, you can quote me on this, I am going to book an appointment with his aides or whatever. And I'm going to tell him, or his aides, because chances are I'll never see him, but I'm going to tell him, one of the things you need to do is you need to change so that there is perjury laws applied to politicians. So when they lie, they are held to account under criminal laws in Canada. Because we've seen it for the last 11 years. This guy, the Liberals, the Greens, the NDP, they are all lying. And they have no fear of lying. And that's no way to run a democracy, in my opinion.
It is for sale. Nobody wants to buy it. For this new pipeline proposal, it similarly has no company that has stepped up and said, even under the most optimistic conditions, that they would be interested in building it, that if it were already built, that they would be interested in buying it, which leaves only one possible way that it could get built, which is through a massive taxpayer-funded support in the order of $30 to $40 billion of taxpayer dollars to get it built. Now, in that scenario, I think British Columbia has some projects that could compete with this one that would create just as much opportunity and be significantly cheaper to taxpayers. But we're not even asking for taxpayer dollars. I don't
Bullshit. He just asked for taxpayer dollars for the ferries. He gave China the contracts rather than using Canadian companies, and he asked for billions of dollars from the feds. So yes, he is asking. See, he's lying. And this is my problem, is these guys lie, and they lie, and they lie, and the media doesn't call them out, but it hurts us.
I think one taxpayer dollar should go into this project, and I'm glad to see in the agreement that that is a condition. And I think that that is probably fatal to Premier Smith's proposal. I understand the Prime Minister was speaking to the Calgary Board of Trade and jokingly asked if anyone wanted to be a proponent of the project. Joking aside, there is no proponent. There is unlikely to be a proponent, and so.
Again, lying. Enbridge has already stepped up and said we would take the contract, providing we got assurances that governments are not going to get in the way. That's what's stopping the investment. Don't listen to this piece of crap. What's stopping the investment in the oil field in Canada is the Liberal government, Trudeau and Carney. They've put so many roadblocks that nobody wants to invest. So this is what needs to be fixed to bring the investor. There's people that want to invest, they want to buy it, they want to do it, but they're not going to do it under the draconian anti-pipeline rules that the Trudeau Liberals with Carney put in place. That's why Smith had her 12 points. This is what needs to happen. We need to get rid of these so that we can bring investment in. But he's lying.
So even if there were a proponent, one of the key hurdles of coastal First Nations support has not been achieved. And it has been their position since 1977 that the oil tanker ban needs to be in place, because if there were an oil spill, their way of life would end.
We already have numerous American tankers going through the area. He's not against tankers off the coast. Understand this, people. He's not against oil tankers on the coast. He's against Canadian oil being moved on the coast. That's what he's against. We got Americans. They come in from Alaska and they come right through the coast, and there's not a whisper from them.
With $1.7 billion in economic activity.
I have to say, David Eby's not going to stop. But here's the thing about the First Nations. If they are set with economic prosperity from this pipeline and guaranteed if there was a spill it'd get cleaned up, and was reassured that their future would be taken care of, and the rest of Canada, and we're all doing everything, and it's the only person that's in the way is David Eby. David Eby will change his mind, or guess what? BC will remove him. And out of all of the things that we're excited about today, here's the thing that I have a problem with. We have the most conflicted prime minister in Canadian history. The only reason he's actually considering this thing is because of the carbon capture aspect, which is going to make him millions of dollars. So if he wants to remain as prime minister, he needs to sell all of his assets, put it into cash in a blind trust, and own none of the interests in any of these projects. Yep. Or he needs to resign, because what he's doing is not okay.
Mr. Speaker, it is being reported that the government's MOU with Alberta includes a multi-billion-dollar investment in carbon capture with Pathways Alliance. The premier carbon capture company connected with Pathways Alliance is none other than Entropy, which is owned by none other than Brookfield. Is the reason it has taken the government so long to get a deal with Alberta because the Prime Minister has been busy getting a deal for Brookfield?
Yeah. Honourable Minister of Natural Resources. Mr. Speaker, I hate to break.
Punchable face. Come on. Who doesn't agree with me? Please come in the comments. That is a punchable face.
Up their conspiracy theory, but Pathways is actually owned by 6 large oil companies, not Entropy. Member for St. Albert, Sturgeon River.
Mr. Speaker, the very Brookfield fund that the Prime Minister stands to make millions of dollars in future bonus pay invested $300 million in Entropy. So, in the face of that, can the government provide the assurance that the deal negotiated by the Prime Minister will in no way benefit Entropy and, by extension, the Prime Minister's financial portfolio?
The Honourable Minister of Natural Resources. Mr. Speaker, here we go again, conspiracy theory. We're focused on building Canada. We're focused on working.
So this piece of crap right here is the guy that resigned out of, oh, you made an agreement with Alberta, I'm quitting. But here he is. Yeah, like hypocrite. If you're so against this deal, why are you cheering this on? Yeah, it frustrates the hell out of me. And punchable face.
With Alberta to grow our natural resources in a responsible way in consultation with First Nations. That's how we build, not conspiracy theory.
It's not a conspiracy theory. It's actual factual. And if he wants to remain prime minister, he needs to sell his assets. Why did I say the cookie crumb story? Because once you get a taste of the cookie crumb, you're going to want the whole thing. And now that Mark Carney paved the way saying it is possible to save the planet and also get a pipeline built, it's in our minds. And if there is no pipeline, oh yeah, it's time for Carney to get out of the way.
Mark Carney needs to do only one thing for us to get a pipeline from Alberta to the Pacific.
One of my questions was, is this pipeline going to come?
So boring.
It's not actually.
It is. It is.
Get out of the way.
The memorandum of understanding that we're negotiating with Alberta creates necessary conditions, but not sufficient conditions.
It's important to note what this MOU is not. It is definitely not an approval for a pipeline. It is not a referral to the Federal Major Projects Office for fast tracking.
There are trillions of dollars of international investment crying out for the chance to build that pipeline. All they need is the federal government to stop blocking it.
Exactly. And now we know it's possible. Oh boy, this could be the end of Mark Carney's political career. Here's Brian Lilly's take, and that's another thing. Money's going to start flowing into Alberta, getting the ball rolling. And when things stall out and it doesn't look like we're going to get that pipeline, that's when Canadians are going to vote Mark Carney out. But check this out.
The emissions cap is done now. We're going to start seeing investment flow into Alberta. It's been funny listening to so many of the reporters ask either Smith or Carney or others, well, the agreement says there has to be a private sector proponent of the pipeline. What if there isn't one? After this, there's going to be one. So this is a giant step in the right direction. It's where we should have been all along. Does it solve everything? No, but very good for Alberta, very good for Canada.
I have an update graphic on the poll I showed you yesterday where the Liberals and Conservatives were tied if there was an election today. Check out the age groups here.
So, yeah, I'm going to let him talk, but check out the age groups. 18 to 34, 52% in favor of Poilievre. 35 to 54, 60% in favor of Poilievre. My age group, 55 and over, 57% in favor of Carney. These are the Laurentian elites. These are the seniors that are well off and can afford this sort of crap that Carney pushes out. These are the people that are under his boot. But something not showing here, I don't know if he's going to show it, but I saw it on Moose on the Loose earlier, so I'm just going to mention it here. These results, even though they say it's tied, this results in the Conservatives winning 169 seats in a federal election. One off of a majority. Now, what this doesn't show is this has the NDP at basically zero, and nobody believes they're at zero. So you bump them up about 10 points, and you probably take about 6 to 7 points off the Liberals and 3 to 4 points off the Conservatives to give the NDP their 10 points that they're going to get. So now it's not tied, and I'm not sure what age group, like the NDP do not get votes from these two age groups. So it would have to come from this point. So let's say you drop 3 points, so that'd put them at 29. And you drop 7 points, that puts them down at 50. Well, it's not how many and how much does the NDP split the vote off of that to allow the Conservatives to move in? So it's not so clear cut. But yeah, the age group is interesting. 18 to 54 is overwhelmingly in favor of Poilievre now.
18 to 34, 52% would vote Conservatives, 30 to 54, 60%. And when you go down to 55 plus, 57% would vote Liberals. What I don't understand is last year, 23,000 Canadians passed away on a medical wait list. That's 65 people per day. And the year before that was only 15,000. Not only, that's a lot, but 23,000. Next year, we're going to be at 35,000 based on the trend. How long before the 55 plus go, hey, my buddy's just passed away on a wait list. Maybe I should vote for change. That's all I'm saying. There's a lot of skepticism online, but this is a good starting point. It means that it is possible. We see the end of the tunnel. The cookie crumbs taste so good, and I can't wait to eat the whole freaking jar. And once Canadians realize that Mark Carney really can't deliver on his pipeline, we're going to vote for change, and that's when we're going to get it done.
So yeah, there you go. I disagree with Mark on one thing, is he thinks this is going to push Canada to eject Carney, and it might. I'm just not convinced that it's not pushing Alberta to separate before that happens. Because the one thing we agree on is Mark Carney's not going to build a pipeline. He's not going to live up to this. Mark Carney's a pathological liar. He's already throwing up the roadblocks by giving David Eby the veto, so there's no pipeline. So once that becomes apparent to everyone, it's kiss Alberta goodbye. They're going to be done. Sayonara, Canada. And once Alberta goes, Saskatchewan goes. Once Saskatchewan goes, Quebec throws a fit that they're not getting $20 billion a year in handouts, welfare, and they go. And Canada collapses. And that's not what I want to see. Make no mistake about it. That's never what I wanted to see. But uninformed idiots elected uninformed ideological governments that have been destroying this country for 11 years. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. And that's about it. So yeah, we'll see where this goes. You know, hopefully I hope I'm wrong. I hope Mark Carney proves me 1,000% wrong. We get the pipeline, we get the movement, we tell David Eby to go F himself, and we get happening. Because Alberta's prosperity is Canada's prosperity, as long as Alberta's a part of the country. Because make no mistake, if Alberta separates, we're still prosperous. Without Canada, like our deficit this year was just announced, it's $6 billion. Well, if we're not funneling $20 billion to Quebec every year, we're $14 billion in the clear just off the status quo. How much healthcare can be bought with $14 billion every year, you know? And once we start negotiating our own stuff, albeit with the United States, we're still going to get our oil to market, just in a different route. And once we get the oil to market, then we can start with the everything Danielle Smith was talking about with the AI infrastructure and moving out of the oil. Like my brother said to me the other day, why do we have to keep investing in oil? We got to keep investing in oil so that we can invest in all the other non-oil stuff for when the oil is no longer valuable. And that's what Justin Trudeau and Mark Carney tried to stop Alberta from doing, becoming financially solvent to build their economy without oil. They literally tried to crush Western Canada. Like David Eby's too freaking stupid to figure that out. Numbnuts over in Manitoba is starting to figure it out. Canoe, he just came out saying, Winnipeg can't take more than 40,000 more residents, or our electrical grids and clean water is going to collapse because we don't have the infrastructure for all these immigrants. So yeah, so we're going to see where it runs. But anyway, it was an interesting day and I'm willing to see where it goes. But my money is that Mark Carney is lying, because all you got to do is look at history. He's a pathological liar, and Mark Carney doesn't care about Canada. Never has, never will. Mark Carney cares about Mark Carney. And as a Conservative member in the House of Commons pointed out, everything he signed today profits him. And that, you know, you look, if you actually lose your ideology and you look, every single deal he's made since taking office has profited him. Nobody else, just him. So anyway, that's my video. If you like the video, leave a like, a subscribe, and a share. I'm trying to grow my channel, and a like, a subscribe, and a share, it does me wonders. And I do appreciate it. It takes 1 second to subscribe. Costs you absolutely nothing, helps me immensely. Just hit the subscribe button on the bottom of the screen. Always feel free to leave a comment. Please come into the comments. Tell me, do you believe Mark Carney? Do you not believe Mark Carney? What do you agree with Mark Nixon? that this will get Canada to boot Carney out? Or do you agree with me that this is ultimately, when Mark Carney is proven a liar, is going to cause Alberta to separate? Come into the comments, let me know. Also, leaving a comment really does help me with the YouTube algorithm and getting more eyes on my videos. And as always, pew, 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 and shit. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Bye.